Welcome to the Marketer's Mind Podcast, a raw and unfiltered show for the serious marketer eager for a glimpse into the hardcore strategies and tactics used by A players in the world of direct response. Here's your host, Todd Brown.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. This episode, we're going to be talking about cold traffic and really what it takes to make cold traffic work. Like, what does it really take to be able to use paid traffic, the coldest sources of paid traffic, to acquire new customers and do it in a way that is economically feasible, like where you can make it work, where you're actually making money. And we're not going to talk about the typical stuff that most folks talk about. We're going to get into the weeds, the nitty-gritty details about really the two sides of that paid traffic equation. I'm going to teach you this paid traffic equation. I'm going to teach you both sides. I'm going to teach you the different metrics that you really need to understand in order to make paid traffic work. And then I'm going to tell you the secret, the golden nugget, if you will, of making paid traffic work and how I approach it. And so let's start off with kind of a big picture perspective as it relates to paid traffic. So first and foremost, I'm a big advocate of paid traffic. If you've been around me for any significant length of time, if you've heard me speak at any conferences or you've gone through any of my trainings, you know why, right? Paid traffic is the single most scalable source of new customers for your business. It's directly within your control. You can open the faucet, you can close the faucet, you can hold every dollar accountable, and it's fully within your control. Now, you contrast that against, let's say, search engine rankings and search engine traffic, if you will. And for those marketers, for those entrepreneurs that are reliant on organic traffic, on search engine rankings to get their traffic, to get their customers, their business is insanely vulnerable, right? If and when Google changes their algorithm, those people that have a top ranked site that is responsible for all of their traffic, all of their new customers, that thing could disappear overnight. They could go from having a top ranked site to not even being on the first page. They can see their traffic cut in half. They could see their traffic become 1/10 of what it is. And I don't know about you, but for me, I don't want to go to sleep at night and have any kind of fears that the next morning I could wake up and the primary source of my traffic could be gone. Don't get me wrong. I think that it's great if you're getting organic traffic. I think if it's part of an overall portfolio, I think that it's fantastic. As long as you are not reliant on search engine rankings, I think that you are fine. That's why I really love paid traffic, because you don't have that same vulnerability. There's always more sources of media for you to buy. So even if something happens with one particular platform, you can always go to another platform. You can always go from Facebook to YouTube, from YouTube to Google, from Google to Instagram. And I mean, my gosh, you could do direct buys, you could do solo drops. There's just so much media for you to buy. So first and foremost, I believe that every single one of you should be leveraging, using paid traffic. In other words, media buying media. Now, when it comes to paid traffic, here's what everybody's been led to believe. There's this common discussion that takes place on social media anytime somebody talks about paid traffic. And what they usually say is something along the lines of, hey, for every dollar that you put into paid traffic, you're going to make back $1.50, $2.50, $3 or more right away. And what people have been led to believe, what entrepreneurs and marketers have been led to believe, is that if you're not making, double your money back right away on paid traffic, that your marketing campaign is a failure, that your marketing campaign isn't working, or that there's something wrong with your marketing campaign. But here's the truth. The truth is that the overwhelming majority of marketing campaigns that are utilized with paid traffic do not return a profit on day zero. The likelihood of you turning $1 of paid traffic into $2 or $3 of sales and revenue on day zero being that first day that you acquire a customer, is slim to none. Can it happen? Sure. Does it happen? Absolutely. But is it common? No freaking way. And so the thing for you to understand is that I want you to look at paid traffic the same way an investor looks at buying equities, buying stocks, except we've got an advantage. Let me explain what I mean by that, because this should be a complete game changer for you if you really understand this, digest it, and use it when it comes to buying paid traffic. And so as an investor, you're really investing in the acquisition of assets. Those assets are customers, and those customers have a certain value today, right? Today when you acquire them in that first sale, and those assets, those customers have a future value. That future value is obviously greater than today's value. And the future value is greater than today's value because customers are going to spend more, right? With the second transaction, the third transaction, the fourth transaction. And by the way, right? That second transaction, third transaction, fourth, fifth transaction, and so on, that's considered the back end. The very first transaction is considered the front end. So as an investor, you know that you're acquiring assets that have a value. Those assets are customers. Those assets, those customers have a value today. That's the amount of money that they spend with you during their first transaction, but they also have a greater value into the future. So as they spend, right, as they buy more from you, the second transaction, third transaction, and so on. And so you've got an asset that you are acquiring today that is only going to increase in value over time, right? And I'm making an assumption that you are delivering the goods, that you're exceeding their expectations, you're fulfilling your promises, right? That you're delivering the goods here. You got an asset that you're acquiring that's only going to go up in value. So when you approach paid traffic that way, what we're really talking about is what is it that you are willing to invest today? What is it that you are willing to spend today to acquire an asset that is only going to go up in value? Let's get into a specific example here for 1 second. So let's say that, right, the typical customer, the average customer spends call it $50 with you on their first transaction. Some might spend more, some might spend less, but on average, every new customer is worth $50 to you. But you also know that on average, every new customer spends an additional $500 with you over the following 12 months. So they spend $50 with you on the day that they become a customer, day 0. And then they spend an additional $500 with you over the coming year. Some more, some less. Again, we're talking about averages when it comes to direct response marketing. So the question then becomes, right, the question really is, well, how much would you pay for an asset that brings you $50 today, that returns $50 of value to you today, and then returns another $500 of value to you over the coming 12 months? Well, if you said, hey, I'm only willing to spend $25 to get a $50 asset, right? I'm only willing to spend $25 to get a customer today that spends $50 with me today because I want to generate profit today and then more profit in the future. You're not thinking like an investor. You're thinking like the typical mom and pop entrepreneur who want to generate a profit on every single transaction. Now, if you said, hey, I'd be willing to spend $50 today to get a new customer, to get a customer today that spends $50 with me. Why? Because even though I don't generate any profit, I spend $50 to get a customer that spends $50. So my bank account is break even. It's at the same level that it was before I got the customer, except now you've got a customer that's going to spend $500 with you over the 12 months. If that was your answer, well, that's smart because you're acquiring customers for free, right? There's no cost associated with acquiring those customers. And every time you invest $50 to get a new customer in this example that spends $50 with you, you just acquired a customer for free, an asset for free, an asset that's worth another $500 to you over the coming 12 months, right? So if you're thinking like an investor, you should really be thinking to yourself like, well, would I spend $50 to get back $50 today and then another $500 over the coming 12 months? Well, the answer hopefully should be absolutely, right? If you answered anything other than absolutely, you're listening to the wrong podcast. And so, right? So, but here's the kind of the more advanced question, right? Or the more advanced kind of scenario is, would you spend more than 50 to get that new customer today that's going to spend 50 with you today, and then another 500 over the coming 12 months, right? Maybe you would be willing to spend $60 today to get a new customer that returns 50 to you, meaning that you go -10, right? You spend 60, you acquire a single new customer. That customer then returns 50 to you. Now you're -10, except you know that over the coming 12 months, you are going to generate another $500 from that customer. See, this kind of thinking, this way of looking at paid traffic is what I mean when I say you need to think like an investor. This is how the smartest marketers, the savviest entrepreneurs, really the fastest growing companies, direct response driven companies, this is how they operate, right? And they're not trying to generate a profit on the front. They're not trying to spend the least amount of money to acquire a customer on the front because they want to make profit or they want to generate profit on the front. They're approaching it like an investor, and they're looking how much is the most amount that they can afford to spend or invest to get a new customer today based on the full life of what that customer is going to spend. Now, look, this is a deep topic that I do a lot of training on inside of our Academy, Acquire and Monetize, inside of the E5 Masterclass. But I wanted to kind of put this out in front of you so that you understand the way the pro marketer thinks about paid traffic. But this isn't even the lesson yet that I want to share with you. The lesson that I want to share with you, the core of this episode is this, that, right, I want to talk about, for example, let's say that your aim is to simply break even on the front end. Your aim is to invest $1,000, let's say in traffic, whatever it is that you invest in traffic, to recoup in the form of new customer sales. If you invest $1,000 in traffic and Facebook ads and YouTube ads, in Google AdWords and Google Display, whatever it may be, your aim, right, is to just recoup that $1,000. If you invest $1,000 and you recoup that $1,000 in the form of new customer sales, you are building your list of assets. You're building your list of new customers for free. But let's say that you roll out a campaign and what it costs you to acquire a customer is more than what that customer is worth to you on day zero. Meaning that what it costs you to acquire a customer is more than what that customer is worth to you on day zero. What do you do? How do you fix or attempt to fix and optimize a campaign like that? Again, I just want to be clear on this, right? So what it's costing you to acquire a new customer is more than what that customer is worth. And the difference, you're not willing to float. Like you're not willing, like maybe it's, it costs you $50. Maybe it costs you $70 to acquire a new customer, and that new customer is only worth $50. And so you're not willing to go negative $20 for every new customer. What do you do? How do you try to optimize that campaign? Well, there are two approaches, one common, one uncommon, one the wrong way, one the right way. And so I want you to think about this. The common way that most people attempt to fix or optimize that kind of campaign is they attempt to decrease their cost per acquisition. They attempt to bring down that cost per acquisition. And there's really only one of two ways to decrease your cost per acquisition, your cost per new customer. One, you could find a cheaper source of traffic. You could try to reduce your traffic costs somehow by optimizing your ads, your targeting, your click-through rate, your quality score, all that kind of media buying stuff, right? So you can attempt to decrease your costs, or, right, in order to bring down your CPA, you can attempt to increase your sales conversion rate. Increasing sales conversion rate is one of those things that most marketers focus on. Most marketers talk about. Most marketers think that sales conversion rate is really the end all be all, right? That like I need to increase my sales conversion rate because if you increase your sales conversion rate, you will decrease what it costs, what it's costing you to acquire a customer, right? If you go, let's say if you go from one conversion to two conversions, right, you just cut your cost per acquisition acquisition in half. It doesn't cost you any more money to drive the traffic. You're not spending any more money on a click, on a visitor, blah, blah, blah. It's all the same. But if you increase your conversions, right, let's say you go from 1 conversion to 2, you just cut your acquisition costs in half, right? And so that is dealing with one side of the equation. That's the cost side of the equation. So you can either try to reduce your traffic costs by actually reducing your traffic costs, or you can try to increase your conversion rate to bring down your cost per acquisition. That's one side of the equation. That's the common way that most marketers, most entrepreneurs try to make those kind of campaigns work that aren't currently working. But the other side of the equation is not the cost of acquisition or the cost of traffic or the cost of media, but is the value of the buyer. Meaning, right, rather than trying to bring down the acquisition cost, bring down what it's costing you to acquire a customer, the other side of the equation is you increase what it is that a new customer is worth you. In this example, we said it's costing you $70 to acquire a customer, and the customer, we said in this example, is worth $50. And so increasing the value of the customer is trying to increase the value from 50 to 60 to 70 to 80 to 90 to 100. And here is the thing that I want you to understand. It is significantly easier to increase the value of a customer, right? What we call average order value. Average order value is the average amount of money that a new customer spends with you when they go through the entire campaign, right? Average order value. It's the average amount of money that a new customer spends with you. It is a lot easier to increase average order value than it is to increase sales conversion rate. It's a lot easier to increase average order value enough to bridge the gap in a campaign that's not currently working than it is to increase sales conversion rate enough to bridge that gap. The other thing that I want you to understand is that if you are reliant on inexpensive traffic, if your whole business is predicated on you keeping your traffic costs down, you reducing your cost per acquisition, what it is that you can afford to spend to acquire a customer, your business becomes insanely vulnerable because the natural tendency, the natural order of things is that media will continue to become more expensive. And so if you are setting up your business to be able to only benefit from cheap traffic, you're setting yourself up for failure. You don't want to set your business up to only work or thrive with cheap traffic. You want to do the opposite. You want to be the business. You want to be the vendor. You want to be the entrepreneur in your marketplace that can grow even on the most expensive sources of traffic. You want to be the one that can afford an extremely high cost per acquisition, because if you can continue to afford a high cost per acquisition by increasing the value of a customer, by making the value of by increasing what it is that you are willing to invest today to get a customer, your business becomes extremely secure and you're able to dominate. Right? Like you've likely heard before that he or she who's willing to invest the most to acquire a customer will win the game. All else being equal, if you can spend double what it is that your competitors can spend to acquire a single new customer, you are going to freaking dominate them. Right? And so that's what it is that I want to share with you. That's the gold nugget. The gold nugget is this, that your job to make paid traffic work is to increase the average order value, to work on increasing what it is that your new customers are worth to you, right? You go from having an average order value of 50 to an average order value of 100, the entire game changes. You go from 100 to 150, the entire game changes. Like the economics completely shift, right? And so that is what it is that I want you to really think about, absorb, and get. That's the golden nugget, the golden gem right there. And so I know that, man, we breezed through a bunch of stuff on this episode, got a little bit in the weeds, but I said that we would. I recommend that you listen to this bad boy again. just to make sure that you didn't miss anything. But there you go. Another episode in the record books. If you got value from this episode, if you're enjoying the content, I would so appreciate a review, a rating. Go on iTunes and leave a nice comment and leave a nice review and tell your friends about the Marketer's Mind podcast. And I will talk to you on the next episode. And so take care, everybody, and we'll talk soon.